Okay, doing a little kayak fishing this week. Now, as you can see, the water here is this usual coffee brown color, so I will be using the spinner blades. And speaking of the spinner blades, everything is back in stock at cookingandfishing.com. We've also made it so you don't have to create an account to purchase the spinner blades. You do, however, need an account to buy or view the virtual lesson. Now, one thing about the blades, how long they last depends on how thick or thin the section of gulp that you're screwing it into. The strongest connection I found is this, the 4-inch grub with the tail cut off. It's a much tougher material than most of the jerk shads, and being a smaller overall package, fish tend to engulf the whole thing. Now another trick is pegging the screw lock with a toothpick. I'm always looking for ways to mitigate the blades being pulled off the back of the bait without affecting the overall action of the presentation. So if anyone has any ideas, please let me know. Alright, back to fishing. Now here you'll notice the wind is pushing me not quite against the tide, but across it. So I'm angling my cast up current as usual, but at an angle to keep my jig in the front left quadrant off my bow throughout the entire retrieve. The reason for this is I'll be setting the hook across my right shoulder, so from left to right, and I always want to be in the optimal position for a hook set, especially when my jig is all the way out at the end of the cast. We're in about 19-20 feet of water, and I'm using the 1/4 ounce gammy jig head. More than enough weight if you're working the jig with the current as opposed to dragging against it. Yeah, so fluke do this all the time. They'll come in easy at a shallower angle, but once they get closer to vertical is when you start feeling that dead weight. And here you'll see me bring the fish smoothly around the bow to my left side, which is the side I'm holding the rod and from where I intend to land the fish. Now once I have the fish on the left side, my right hand is turning the rudder and I'm pedaling to keep that fish there. What I don't want is a fish swimming or drifting under the kayak. Boat positioning while fishing and while fighting a fish is key to upping your landing percentage on the kayak. You don't want to sit there while the fish is spinning in circles around you. Use your rudder and pedals to keep that fish on your strong side. You should maintain control throughout the entire fight. Alright, I definitely thought that was a bigger fish. Can't really see the fish in this water until they're right under the surface, so better to play it safe. Now you'll see most of my fish that day were hooked solid, none were gut or gill hooked, but I didn't lose any fish on the jig either. Now if you deep hook more than 5% of your fish, you're waiting too long to set the hook. 20, almost 20. What was that? What was that, buddy? So most of these fish were puking up grass shrimp all over the kayak, and I'm using the 6-inch jerk shad with the bright silver blade at the back of it. It looks nothing like a grass shrimp, but I found fluking to be among the least mash to hatch type of fishing, except when they're on peanut bunker later in the season. Now that's also when that stubby cut down grub paired to the spinner blade will do some major damage. Oh, shrimp. Okay, here the tide changed and the wind is either holding me in place or slowly taking me down the channel. But I want to cover water cutting across the channel. Basically, I'm trying to establish if fish are grouped up at a certain depth zone, and drifting for half a mile at 12 feet is the last thing you want to do if the fish are holding at 18 to 20. So the quickest way to determine specific depth contours that hold fish is to cut across channels going from one edge to the other. Now once again, I'm using my pedals to create optimal casting angles, always somewhat up current. If you have a pedal-driven kayak or a spot-locking trolling motor on your boat, you should never be at the mercy of drifting conditions. Even if you are, you can still use your rod to cast up current instead of mindlessly bouncing a jig under the boat all day. Alright, here's my first cast with the jerkbait all day. I wasn't expecting much because of the watercolor, but watch what happens here. Oh my god. So yeah, that fish was 25 inches plus, and it kept me throwing the jerkbait in the area for at least another hour. Oh. Yeah, definitely not the day for jerkbaits, but you can't fault me for trying. In any case, on this last keeper, please pay attention to the things we talked about earlier. Casting angles, hook set timing, maneuvering the fish to my strong side while maintaining boat control. All basic fundamentals to kayak fishing that takes practice and repetition to perfect. Oh, it got heavy. Oh. Wow. So decent fish, no giant, but the point is when you do hook a giant, your chances of landing her is much greater if you've mastered the fundamentals. Okay, thanks for watching. Thank you for supporting me through the website. I really appreciate it. If anyone has questions on the spinner blades or the virtual lesson, please let me know. Tight lines, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.